And we're live. We got Kerri Snook. Welcome. Good to see you.
Hello, great to be here. Thank you so much, Richard.
So you're the creator of the Meraki Tarot and the crystal. What is it called? The crystal cards, the
Yep,
radiant crystal
radiant.
cards.
Yep, radiant crystal cards.
Okay, cool. Your Meraki Tarot is by far the biggest hit on the channel. Like every time, if I don't immediately show what the cards are when I pull them out, everybody's like, "Oh my god, what is that?" Or like I need that in
Oh,
my life. So, and I love it because it's just so has such a pastel look, like a nice chalk pastel look to it.
yeah.
And the colors are just so well blended. Everything is just beautiful with it.
Oh, thank you.
So, tell me about how you started all of this. What made you get into tarot? Have you always read tarot and you decided to create cards? Or are you just an artist and decided to dip into the tarot schema? Or what did you do?
Yeah. So I would say my whole life. I mean, literally, I think since I was 3, I started connecting with spirits and just kind of this evolution has been really my whole life with again the connection with spirit, understanding some of my gifts, and then at around age 15 I had gotten my first tarot deck. So at the time I grew up, which was 70s 80s, there was no internet, there was really no other than just word of mouth or meeting friends that were maybe in this kind of metaphysical genre. There was really no hype about anything. So my first deck was Thoth, and it was purchased from a metaphysical store. Um, and I just was hooked. It's just been crystals and tarot really my whole life. So I've have a huge background with that in general. And then I'm an interior designer, so I'm and an illustrator. So just that background as well with design, illustration, it just came together, and I think it's been almost 4 years now. I decided to start Bouchette Design, and it's something I've wanted to do for a long time. But with kids growing up and all sorts of things in life, it just kind of was never the right time. And I just dove in 4 years ago and started creating decks and all sorts of things. So yeah, that's how it came about.
Well, cool. So, is this this is the first deck that I know of? What other decks do you have that you have created?
Yeah, so the Meraki Tarot was the first, and then I've done a couple mini decks. So I'm trying to do a series of like these mini decks, Aura Astrology, and then there's a Numinous Numerology. They're just kind of smaller, very small decks, full of information. And then the Radiant Crystal cards, and I'm working on a Marseille deck right now. But then the second edition of the Meraki Tarot was just on Kickstarter.
Yeah, second edition. That looks even better. It looks really good. So, talk about like the process of coming out with a tarot deck. So you're like, I want to create a tarot deck. What kind of things did you go through? Like, what kind of inspiration did you have? How
Mhm.
long did it take? What was the process like?
Yeah. That deck took a couple years, which is really weird because it did not seem when I finished it, I couldn't believe it took a couple years, honestly. It didn't feel that way, I guess, which was interesting. But, when I had started designing this deck, I actually kinda started with people. I started with the majors and I started, illustrating people, but I don't really connect with people in decks in general, just personally. So for me, that was very it just wasn't connecting for me.
Mhm.
That's when I went more to the nature side of things because I felt as though nature, animals, and it's an animal deck, but I most think of it as more of a nature inspired deck. And it just kind of connected with me in the sense that I felt as though anyone could put themselves in the deck and not be influenced by people. It would be more so that it was a sort of like a whimsical deck. There are some people that have said Mary Poppins at times, I can understand that sort of like you jump into this like chalk picture, this kind of scene. But when I started it, I was kind of doing people. I stopped that. I went into the nature route, and initially, what I did was I illustrated every card off of intuition.
Hmm.
So the whole thing was illustrated. Then I went back and I took a standard Rider Waite Smith deck, and I really went back and made sure, okay, am I saying the right things in the cards? Because intuition is one thing, right? But then everyone else has to understand it and feel that they can put themselves into it by, card by card. So that's when I kind of started matching it up. I think that's why it took a couple years. Was the first draft was me. The second draft was really making sure it was speaking to the tarot, to the Rider Waite Smith system.
Okay. Well, Soul Dreamer wanted to know what was the inspiration behind the Death card, and let's see, it's their favorite. They'd love a lapel pin to match it. It's a really pretty card. Like, what was your inspiration? What kind of effect did this have?
Yeah. Yeah, and that card did change a bit, in the second edition, but I did keep that moth, so that's a Luna moth, and that particular moth is really all about transition. When I think about death, I think, kind of more about the moon, just the transition of it, and I read the death card as really more totally transition. I mean, I think on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, certainly in our lives, we're constantly going in and out of death or transition, you know? Um, and I just think in one life, you have many lives. So that's kind of how I see that card. And it's just moving through, we go through ebbs and flows of dark times and great times. And but just like everything in life, the leaves fall off the tree, they come back. So that's kind of how that was created.
Well, cool. So, what once you got started in this, what kind of things did you run into? I mean, just being your first deck created, your first Kickstarter. What kind of challenges did you have? What kind of big successes did you have during the whole process?
Yeah. Wow, there was a lot because, I think the biggest thing that I learned is when you're printing cards, every single printer prints differently. It was interesting because I did so many test runs. I wanted to print in the US originally, and the US printers are fabulous, but for me, it just wasn't the quality that I wanted to pass along to everyone.
Hmm.
And so I went with a printer that's, overseas. They're actually based in the US, but their print house is overseas. And it's just the quality for me. For me, every detail has to be in my eye perfect, although perfect is not a real thing. And everything is always evolving and changing, but it has to be perfect for me. And so that was one thing I did struggle with, was that every time I went to get a print made as a test, I mean, the colors were different, the cut, I mean, it was everything was different. So that is challenging because I didn't realize that going in. Wow, color can, like I was getting cards back that were like green, that was not good. So that was challenging. The other thing that has been challenging, but for everyone all over the world, is shipping, like timing.
Hmm.
It's just very difficult. It remains difficult. And though we want to give people things immediately, it takes time. So that's been the other challenge, really. Um, and then the other thing I would say is I love giving a lot of things. I love doing a lot of things. If I'm going to produce something and give it to somebody, I want them to feel loved and excited to open it. So I like creating Kickstarters, and I like offering things that, one, are affordable for people, but two, that they're getting a lot of beautiful items that they can use together. So it was a lot of like, um, just how do I make all this work? Because there's pins, there's cloths, there's all sorts of different things. So um, I've gotten the hang of it now. This was my third Kickstarter, this second edition.
Hmm.
But at first it was a juggling act for sure.
Yeah, and you had 783 backers. How do you even approach that? Do you have did you end up getting a shipping company, or do you just bag these up yourself, or what was the approach?
No, I'll tell you, Richard, I do every single thing myself. I
Oh,
don't
wow.
Yeah, which is I know can be shocking. Again, I'll just say I have a it's I say this lovingly. I have OCD because I have to be in every part of it. If it's going out to someone, I like packaging it well. So I do not have anyone help ship. I use the Kickstarter surveys. It all comes to me. I arrange it, I put it all together, and I send it out. It's a lot, but I um, take time off in order to solely focus on it, and actually it goes pretty quickly. I set up. I've got this whole setup, and so it's like a, I just go down the line. It's all prepared. Yeah.
There you go, just like a little assembly line thing going.
Yes, that's what it is.
Very
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, the second edition is even more robust than the first. I mean, you have this new bag, you have tiles, you have a little box where the tiles come in. I'm just like scrolling through it, never ends. You have so much stuff. You have a gorgeous book. Like, how many pages are in that book? Just look at the
Yeah,
preview.
the book too. It's I think it's like 225 pages. Um, that was I'm so happy I got that in. That was a year, at least a year to write that, and I really pushed it because I wanted it in with this, Kickstarter, so I'm super excited about that.
Yeah, the previews of it is just absolutely stunning. So very
Thank you.
excited about that. So why did you end up going borderless? Was that like a big request, or were you just like, nah, boy, I'll go borderless this time?
It has been a request from a lot of people, and I also love borderless. It was interesting, the first edition and those scallop borders, I've never seen that the scallop on another deck. Really what I was trying to do with the borders was bring someone into the image as if they were jumping through the border into the image. Um, but when I went borderless, I thought, "Oh gosh, this is so awesome too," because when you lay the cards next to each other, each image just kind of flows into the next. It becomes more of a storyboard,
Hmm.
think without the borders. I'm I honestly don't have a preference on any deck with or without borders. I sometimes borders get to me when they're huge, but I think if it's designed properly and integrated into the deck, I usually don't have a problem if they're on there or not, in general.
Yeah, I ended up trimming my Thoth because the borders were just too large for my own taste. And I think once you sort of get to know the Thoth and understand that, being borderless really helps it.
Yeah,
So I think all of my Thoth decks I end up trimming, just get the
yeah,
the jumbo one, trim it. Now you kind of have a normal deck kind of thing. But your borders
yeah,
aren't bad. I mean, the borders sort of blend in with the image of the same color. We do have other decks to where I ended up having to trim it because the borders are bright white and then the images are like
yeah,
dark or something. So it
yeah,
really sort of distracts from that. But yours are perfect. I mean, yours are just like the same kind of color scheme, like you said, just brings you in. It doesn't distract from it. So overall, I think it was a big hit. First edition, obviously, you had
yeah.
700 something people order it. So
Thank you so much. Yeah, 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 and that one had, this second edition also has an edge color. That was one of the stretch goals. So yeah, just, all sorts of goodies with it.
yeah, and the card quality is exceptional. This is the same card. It feels like the same card stock as the Divine Masculine and also the Dark Mansion. We'll
Yes.
list one version of the Dark Mansion, but so it like the dark. And the reason I talk about the card quality on this is, and I compare it to the Dark Mansion. I've used the Dark Mansion. I do a stream every day. I'd use the Dark Mansion every single day since it was released. What is that, like 2, 3 years? It still
Yeah,
looks new. It looks brand new. So whatever this card type is, whatever the thing is on this
yep,
is going to last 10, 20 years easy, because I've
yep.
used that every single day, shuffled it every single day. It still looks new. So,
Oh, that's amazing. I love that deck and that yeah. It is a beautiful it's the rose petal finish, but that's an interesting thing too because rose petal finish is not the same with every printer.
mhm.
This particular printer their rose petal is much easier to work with, which is really nice.
Hmm.
Oh gosh, sorry that my thing just announced.
Oh, do you
Okay.
need to go?
No,
Oh, okay.
no, my house talks, so it was just talking.
Oh, there you go. So let's talk about the crystal deck, which is so. Like I was talking to you before we started. One of the big problems I think most people have with any sort of oracle deck is when they just include like 20 cards, because you get the same cards over and over and over and over. So that's like one of the things that I preach about a lot is include more cards. And some people include 35 cards, 40, 50. You included just a literal mountain of cards in here. So I don't think I've ever seen an oracle with this many cards, which is just utterly fantastic.
Yeah.
And then I'm flipping through these, and the level of detail in these cards is just out of this world. Like, not only do you have an image, you have the name, then you have sort of the keywords, but you have like a literal dictionary of chakra, vibration, astrological stuff, affirmations, energies, and then at the bottom, kind of a flower with that. I got to ask, how long did it take to create this?
Yeah. I would say this was about another 2 years. I started this when I was still working, or when I was kind of more finishing up the Meraki Tarot first edition.
Hmm.
Because I love, again, I've always worked with crystals and tarot, or, that's always been part of my practices. So as I was doing the first edition of the Meraki Tarot, I had in the major arcana added crystals to the, kind of like the corners of the card, and then had a crystal descriptor card for that.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
I thought, oh, wow, I really have not found, though there are gorgeous crystal decks on the market, I have not found one that I felt like I really resonated with. That's kind of when I started the crystal deck, and then of course it just became this library on the back of key elements to know. And I personally am drawn to things that have the right amount of knowledge that goes with it, so someone can use that item and the knowledge is there. They don't have to use that and then go somewhere else for extra knowledge at that moment. There's a million things that you would do, books and whatnot, but at that moment, that thing that you're using. So that crystal deck became something where the back of the card was just enough bits of information to allow you to understand the crystal, use it with tarot, use it with magic, divination, spell work, whatever it is that you do in your craft.
Yeah, and it's just a literal ton of information. And it's beautiful too. It's not like just a regular deck where you're gonna get it, just gonna have text on it. You have these very pretty pictures. Are these did you draw these, or are these just pictures where you just did some Photoshop work with them?
Yeah, so I actually started by illustrating the crystal, and I was like, "You know what? I don't like this," because one of my intentions for this deck was, if someone didn't have the crystal, that this could literally be something where they could feel as though that crystal was with them. So what I started doing then is finding crystal imagery that I was able to use, in a published deck like this,
Hmm.
and use that as the crystal. So again, it would feel as though that crystal was with you, but then incorporate it with watercolor imagery behind it. So we would also get the energy illustration of the crystal. And I think it's great because if you don't have the crystal, I think a lot of these kind of feel as though they're sort of popping off the card in a way. So it gives you that sense that maybe I don't need to own it, or if I can't find it, I have it here.
Yeah, and the borders are just stunning. I mean, the borders sort of line up with the graphic, with the art and everything. It's just beautiful. Like pink borders, purple borders, anything other than just like black and blue and red and stuff. So I love it.
Yeah.
You sort of stick to that pastel theme, like I was talking about. I mean, you have almost like a chalk pastel theme to your cards. It's very soft. It's very sort of I don't know, like the sun rays, like here, it's just really
Yeah.
like the sun rays aren't harsh. It's very soft. Everything's very sort of pastel. Everything's very light and easy. And it's just amazing to look at with the art and stuff.
So,
So you said you had background in graphic design,
yeah,
right?
so I'm an interior
Interior design. Is that?
designer. Yeah, and everything I do is in Photoshop. So I draw, I have this tablet with, the pen, so I'm just physically drawing in Photoshop. And I've actually just started for this Tarot de Marseille I'm doing now. I'm using Procreate and Photoshop, so I'm trying to kind of branch out a little bit. But yeah, it's all Photoshop work. Um, and it's just kind of like my second nature again, because I've been in interior design for like 26 years, so it's just
Mhm.
kind of something I know. Yeah.
So color matching, getting the right colors, getting the theme, getting the overall everything to match is just sort of second nature to you by now, right?
Yeah, it is. It's funny when I render for my job for my interior design, and I do a lot of I do corporate design, so tech companies and things like that. Even those renderings have that sort of softer quality to it. So I think I just go that way. Everyone has sort of their internal vision, their visual, I guess, that comes out. And so that is just the way I tend to go, is everything is more, I think, more on the ethereal, softer side of things, I would say.
Yeah, it's very cool. And I've never seen I've never seen, I'm sure there are 10 billion tarots I don't have, but believe it or not, but I've never really seen a chalk pastel tarot. Now, obviously, you can go with oil pastels. We have things like this. You have like the Modern Love Tarot, which is oil
Yeah.
pastel. I've never really seen just a pure chalk pastel. Let's go 100% that direction. And I think yours comes the closest, I guess, to being that, even though obviously it's not chalk pastel, but I guess yours comes the closest to being that theme and that
Yeah.
feel and stuff. And like I'm talking about, it just like draws you in. It just,
Yeah.
sort of relaxes you. The color theme relaxes you. Everything just draws you in. It's just absolutely stunning for not
Mhm.
only this one, but the crystal cards as well. So what do you have any previews to show us for the Marseille deck?
Actually, I'm gonna start sharing it on Instagram probably next month, like June, July. I'm gonna start sharing that. It's again, I'm actually starting with the suit. So I've started with the swords and then the wands. And I'm doing that. I decided to start that way this time in order for me to get a foundation built
Hmm.
for how I want to do the majors. But again, I don't think I'm going to use people. I don't know how well that's going to go with everyone, but I think I'm going to still stay the nature route. And it's interesting because that deck is also coming out very, as we're talking about here, pastelly. It's just kind of
Hmm.
happening that way. But it's oh, and I have a Lenormand deck. That's right. That's in production right now. That as well is also has that feeling, but that one I did all on Procreate.
Wow. Procreate's a fun app. Procreate's great. They have the little left hand keyboards that are designed for Procreate, so you can do things a little bit quicker and stuff. I ended up getting some of those. Those are really fun. So Lenormand deck, and you have you have a full time job too, in addition to all of this. You're on mute. Did I mute you? No, you're not muted. Oh, there you are. I hear you now.
Oh, you do? Oh, that was
Okay, I
weird.
hear you now. Yeah,
Oh,
that's
okay.
weird.
Sorry about that. I do have a full-time job on top of this. Yeah.
Wow, you are you're quite amazing.
It's a lot. But you know what? I love everything I'm doing with Bouchette design. I just absolutely love. I mean,
Mhm.
it's coming from a place where I'm so excited to connect with this community and people, and give people something from my heart and that they enjoy it. I mean, that's what it's all about. And so for me, I just love doing this.
Well, I know you're hesitant about animals replacing people and whatnot, and the TDMs and all that, but I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, you have almost 800 people on every Kickstarter you throw out there, so I'm sure you're going to be just fine. I think many hundreds of people will want pretty much anything that you create at this point because all your stuff
Aw,
is just outstanding. So.
thank you so much for that. Thank you.
Yeah, so you have a Lenore. Okay, here's the card I was looking for. So I have a question. I guess I'm a TDM geek. Are you going? What are you going to do on the traditional two labeling? Are you going to put Bouchette design around here, or do you have like a custom message for us all, or what are you going to do there?
So that is a really great that's a great question. I was thinking about that. I love affirmations. I love messaging on so I mean that is something, or it would be Bouchette design. It wouldn't be my name. I try to keep my name, Kerri Snook. I don't know, that might be kind of weird, but I think it would either be a message or Bouchette design. But I do like the idea of of keeping it in that vein. So kind of keeping that traditional card.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
cool. So what, Lenormand? What plans do you have for the people like the man, the
Oh,
woman, and stuff like that? If you're going to do all animals.
yeah. So the Lenore, can you see this? I actually, it's in production right now.
Hmm.
So this is the back of the deck, and you can see the illustration is just a little bit different. It's even more playful, I would say, just because it is on I did it on Procreate, but I did do people in this deck, but they're very playful. Can you see the child there?
Oh, that's cute. Yeah, I like that.
So they're just very, very playful. I do have some hands. And for some reason in this deck, it didn't bother me. I think that happened because it was a few people. It wasn't like the court cards, see, so here's the man, and again, he's very
Hmm.
illustrated. Um, so I think it because it was just a few people, the man, the woman, and the child, um, and they were very playfully illustrated. It didn't bother me at all. And I think Lenormand just reads that way. It's just such a literal divination tool that I just felt it kind of had to be in there that way.
Yeah. Did you go for traditional Lenormand size, or are those a little bit larger than normal?
This is traditional. So this is what do we call that? It's the bridge card size.
Hmm.
Yeah. And this again, this has the soft touch on it. So it's going to have all the great things that the other decks do. Um, and this should be coming soon. Yeah.
That'd be fantastic. I love Lenormand. I used to do it all the time on the stream. Every Sunday was like Lenormand day. So
Yeah.
lots of Lenormand questions. Do you have a grand tableau cloth that you're coming out for that?
That's a great question. I do have the intention of designing that. So I will be designing a cloth for that. Yeah.
Wow, I think you're the only one that's done that other than Chiro Marchetti. So that is going to be
Oh.
fantastic.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think I love the idea of these cloths because, well, I wrap my decks in them. But I love just the ease of them that you can just they're so small. You can take them with you anywhere.
Yeah, Grand Tableau is a little bit different, but yeah, you have that this cute little cloth that you had that you included with the crystal cards. It's very
Yeah.
cute. I really like this.
Yeah. Yeah, and that one was so on that cloth is obviously so you could cast a crystal grid and use a tarot or the crystal cards with it as well. So using it as a tool as part of the deck.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. If you're going to a Grand Tableau Lenormand cloth, that's going to be the first one that I've seen on a
Oh, I didn't
Kickstarter.
know that. Oh, okay.
Of course, I haven't backed every single Lenormand Kickstarter in the history, but as far as like, I'm a cloth kind of fanatic. I have pretty much every Chiro Marchetti cloth. I have every cloth that I do a Kickstarter. I end up with a cloth. I made my own few cloths. So I'm a kind of a cloth person, because a stream kind of gives you that opportunity to use all of them. Like, because if I
Oh,
have 40 claws, then normally you're probably not going to use that many, but I can,
yeah,
because I stream every night. So I can use a different cloth, a different
that is
background. It just
true.
keeps it kind of fresh. So I ended up buying a lot of cloths. So having a grand
Yeah.
tableau cloth would be so fantastic. It would be so fantastic because you just
Oh,
zoom the camera out. You could have it there. You could do like live readings with it, like just endless possibilities. And having all the tableau parts, and then the numbers, then putting the things,
yeah.
then having the interaction with the cloth and with each other and the other cards just makes it amazing. So
Oh,
yeah, I'm really excited about that. When does that kick? So tell us about the next Kickstarters. Which one is next? Then which one is after, timelines kind of thing?
yeah. So, well, actually, the Lenormand deck, I'm just going straight to my Etsy shop. I'm just going to end the cloth with it. So that's just going to go straight to Etsy, which will be, that'll be nice for everyone to just immediately get it.
Hmm.
The next Kickstarter I am anticipating next year, and that would be the Marseille deck. And again, that one will have collaborations. I love collaborating with other artists in our community, and so that will have collaborations and the full meal deal, I guess I would say. But that should be next year, and I'm kind of leaning towards spring. I feel like I like spring Kickstarters. Which hopefully this shipping gets better. That way, by the end of the year, everyone can have everything, and you don't have to kind of cross over the holidays.
Yeah, I never kind of know. I mean, there's all sorts of logistical issues with shipping, with everything lately. So yeah, hopefully that'll
Yeah,
clear up by the time next year rolls around. That's a long time.
yeah, yeah,
So that's
exactly.
pretty cool. So can you tell us a little bit about the tiles real quick? Just, you have
Yeah.
tiles in the new Meraki Tarot, and I'm kind of a tile collector myself. So I
Ooh,
just adore tiles, and I'm kind of curious like what they look like and what type they
yeah.
are. And
Yeah, so Jamie Sawyer and I, so I only had 3 of these. Here's the Moonlit Fae bag.
Mhm.
I only had 3 of these in the Kickstarter, and they went, and I think 3 of them went in 3 minutes. I honestly think I wasn't sure how it would sell there, but it was amazing. So what Jamie and I are going to do is, after the Kickstarters go out, we are going to do a mini tile collaboration, which I'll announce on my website and on Instagram and everywhere. So whoever wants the tiles can actually get a set. Um, they came out amazing. Here's the back. I love the just the simplicity of the back.
Mhm.
Um, and they just I can't even believe the detail. Like, it's shocking. I don't know if you can see that with the
Wow.
hair,
Yeah,
but
that is a lot.
yeah, the detail is just amazing. Um, and I absolutely I'm in love with these tiles because they're so much fun. Just if you wanted to do a larger spread, or even just integrating them. Sometimes a lot of times I'll use the Crystal Deck Tarot and then Lenormand. I love reading with all 3 together. So when you have so many things out, it's just nice to have something a little smaller.
And plus, when you shuffle tiles in air quotes, when you shuffle tiles, you get more random selection than you
Yes.
do from drawing cards, because there's only so many different ways to shuffle the cards, and the cards get beat up. The cards look just worn if you shuffle them too much. But tiles, you sort of dig in there, you move them around, and they are designed to handle a lot of wear, right? Because they're
Oh
like
yeah.
plastic or something like that.
So this is on a wood. They're on actual wood backs, and then so this is lasered. This image is lasered in. And then what
Hmm.
she does is, when I send her all the cards, she then resin coats them.
Wow.
So I mean, they are tough as nails. I mean, it would be hard to destroy this. And then they come in the box. So everything is all related to the cards, to the whole set.
Hmm.
Um, Yeah, so then they all come in this box, and we're gonna do another collaboration because there are many, many, many people that want these tiles, and again, they're just so much fun, and Jamie does a beautiful job with these.
Yeah, those are tiles are great too on a stream to where you have an overhead camera kind of thing as well because they're
Oh yeah.
small. You can get a bunch on. I think the problem with streaming anything with tarot is that after a while, if you get the camera too far back, then you can barely see the cards. If it's too
Yeah.
close, you can't get many cards on. So a lot of people want spread. So I want a Celtic spread, and then so that takes up a lot of space. You can't really get all the cards. You have to be moving the camera around. So having something like tiles makes everything easier because I can fit more in the frame, and everything is just easier overall to do.
Oh, totally. Absolutely. Yeah.
So, so how much is the tile set? Because I know hers are like $300 something. Is it $200 or $300?
I believe they're 300, and then we're going to have also the opportunity to get the Moonlit Fae bag with it, so that'll be added on if someone wants to add that on. So yeah, that'll be announced. But yeah, I mean, I know. I mean, I don't you love that sound?
Yeah, it's great.
I love
It,
that
it's
sound.
like dominoes.
It is like dominoes, totally. Yeah.
Yeah, and tiles are so resilient compared to cards too. 'Cause, Push Kitty Amy had released a tile set, and when I get tiles, I put them through the ringer, including running them over with my car and stuff. So they survived that. I mean, a car you get it wet and it's gone. A tile you run
Yeah.
over it with your truck and not a problem. So
No, they are really indestructible. I mean, I love them.
so you gonna do tiles for everything, or is it just the Meraki?
I think just the Meraki. Actually, I might see if Jamie wants to do a Lenormand tile set because I love that idea as well, honestly. And doing the grand tableau with even just a Lenormand tile set, that would be fabulous.
That'd be amazing. Like a little cloth that would come with it. The grand tableau of the tiles, and it'd be much cheaper too because it's less tiles.
Yeah.
And again, if you're streaming or something, getting all of the grand tableau in the frame would be so easy with
Oh,
tiles. It's just a great idea.
I love it. And then I would say the Marseille deck would be a fun one also to do with tiles.
Well, cool. So the next one, so Etsy is going to be the Lenormand, and then the Marseille is going to be next year. What
Yeah.
what do you got in the far future?
So my anticipation is a book. So I'm hoping to do another book and have it be sort of like a resource reference book workbook. I love workbooks. I love things that you can kind of dive into. Again, it's knowledge that you can house in fairly one place, so you can use it, make it your own. So I have another one of those that I am planning on working on. And then probably another deck of some sort. An oracle is in my future because a lot of requests, and I've kind of already started an oracle deck that is a match up to the Meraki Tarot.
Hmm.
Within the Meraki Tarot, in the second edition, I have 8 oracle cards that, with the stretch goals and whatnot. At this point, I have eight of them. So I think just keep building on that, and make a larger deck that can
Oh,
incorporate. Yeah.
that would be fantastic and a full time job. I don't see how you do it. You are a miracle worker, literally a miracle worker. So.
Oh, thank you. It's fun. I mean, if I didn't love what I do, I definitely can't do it. I have to love it. Yeah.
Yes, Effie wants to know, what is the book? Is that just an accompanying book to all of this, all the products, or what kind of book is that?
Yeah, so the book that was in the Kickstarter is a workbook, and what it is in the front pages are kind of like learning tools. So it has tools for you to reference tools, I guess, for the crystal deck, for the tarot deck, different divination modalities, understanding the reference meaning behind numbers. So it's kind of more of a reference, the first part of the book. And then all the other pages are a workbook. So one side of the book, one side of the spread, if you're opening it up, is the tarot meaning, the upright and reversed meaning, has reference information about the card. Um, So what planetary, what is it a yes or no card? What astrological sign does it go with? So just a bunch of information. And then the other side is a workbook. So it allows you to interact with whatever deck you're using, or the Meraki Tarot. Those are the pictures in the book, but it allows you to interact with and learn about tarot and just kind of write your thoughts and change it over time. So it's really essentially a reference workbook.
Oh,
I
there you
guess,
go.
yeah, I would put it that way. But yeah,
That would be a lot of fun. Well,
yeah.
cool. So, any last piece of advice for anybody in chat, anybody watching this later who's like, I want to create a tarot deck? What would you advise? What would you be your wisdom on that?
Well, I would say that if it's something that it's coming from your heart and soul that you really want to do, go for it and do it. Personally, I feel like there's nothing that you should hold back on in life if it's something that is a dream of yours or that resonates with you. I always find that when someone produces something and it's genuine and it's coming from a space of love and loving creation, I think that it just exudes that and people feel it. So, you know, I would just say do what you love to do. There's nothing the only thing that could happen is that maybe it might not go exactly as you planned, but honestly, nothing goes exactly as we planned. So all you can do is get out there and try and have fun with it.
Yep, like I say on the stream all the time, there is no failure once your level of commitment is high enough. You just understand that, oops, okay, let me continue on. You just have to have, like you're saying, that commitment. You have to have that passion. Just go and make your dreams a reality and just don't look at failure as failure. Look at it as a little stumbling block that I have to get up from and continue to run to my
Yeah,
goals. So,
that is right. Because everything has there's something that doesn't go exactly as planned with everything in life, but that is life. That is and honestly, it's interesting what I find a lot of times if something isn't going as planned with my decks or production or something, it ends up, I swear the universe has our backs. It ends up better than what it was going to be. So think of things as if it's not exactly the way that you had intended or something is shifting or changing, look at why, because it might be in your favor, it might be for you.
yep, there you go. Well, thank you so much for joining me and going through all of this and showing us little previews of all of this. I'm literally just enthralled with your decks, and I can't wait
Oh,
for the Lenormand. I'm just going to pick up all of it when I see it on the Etsy. So,
oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it, Richard. All your support, and thanks for having me here.
yep, and thank you everybody in chat for joining us, and we appreciate everything. We'll see you on the next time. Maybe I guess we'll have you back once you get another deck out. It sounds fun.
Yeah, that sounds great. Thank you so much, everyone.
Bye.